faithfully delivering value and interpreting great books worldwide. Hello, this is Sally's Book Club. Today we're exploring The Highly Sensitive Person by Danish psychologist Ilse Sand. Let's start by considering if you know someone like this. Like when friends don't reply to WeChat messages right away, you wonder if you did something wrong, or feeling down for ages over an offhand comment, or maybe avoiding conflict and saying yes when you want to say no. Um, Perhaps you've had similar experiences yourself. Folks like this are often seen as sensitive. In mainstream culture, sensitive often carries negative connotations, implying thin skinned, overthinking, or being overly dramatic. But, high sensitivity is actually a gift. In this book, Ilse Sand shows us sensitivity isn't a flaw, it's a rare talent, a true blessing. When harnessed right, sensitive folks can create extraordinary value. The book offers comprehensive psychological analysis of sensitive personalities, helping them rediscover themselves, find strengths, and address life's challenges. It provides practical solutions for each issue. No wonder it became an international bestseller, translated into 18 languages. In China, the Chinese edition hit S-Lite bookstores' top 3 right after launch. Author Ilse Sand, a Danish psychotherapist and highly sensitive person herself, once struggled until psychology helped her find balance and embrace her sensitivity. She's now an expert providing long-term counseling for sensitive individuals. This book distills her years of case studies and personal experience. All right, that covers the book basics and author background. Now let's dive into the content details. First, what defines a highly sensitive personality? Why exactly is high sensitivity a gift? And second, common challenges sensitive people face, plus practical coping strategies. Third, how highly sensitive people can adjust their mindset and lifestyle to live more harmoniously with the world. All right, let's first look at the content of part 1. What is a highly sensitive personality? Why is high sensitivity considered a gift? High sensitivity is a common personality trait found in about 15 to 20% of the population. That means 1 in every 5 people is highly sensitive. These individuals are born with a sensitive and developed nervous system, allowing them to perceive external information more completely and meticulously and deeply process it, leading to traits like being easily stimulated, introverted, shy, or psychologically fragile. The opposite personality trait to high sensitivity is low sensitivity, also known as high resilience. People with high resilience are often confident, energetic, less affected by external factors, and can quickly bounce back from negative emotions. They're good at seizing opportunities and are social butterflies in life. And in today's societal perceptions, compared to sensitive and fragile individuals, highly resilient people are seen as healthier and superior. They are the strong ones in life. This cognitive bias leads most people to focus on the negatives of sensitivity, overlooking the innate strengths and talents of highly sensitive individuals. Think about it. If a chef is super sensitive to taste, a musician to tone and pitch, or a painter to color, we often see them as having huge talent in their fields. Similarly, highly sensitive people's sensitivity to life's details brings them many talents. Specifically, it manifests in 4 aspects. First, highly sensitive people are more empathetic, which is key in interpersonal communication. They not only keenly detect others' emotional states, but also deeply empathize, fully understanding their situations and feelings. Therefore, in life and work, they often show more tolerant and understanding traits, especially in jobs involving helping and caring for others. Highly sensitive individuals always gain recognition. This is precisely because they have this empathetic ability to put themselves in others' shoes. The second advantage of highly sensitive people is stronger crisis management skills. The book gives an example. A group of rabbits arrives at fertile grassland. Some immediately dash to claim territory, while others first observe the situation, waiting for safety before acting. In a dangerous animal world, which rabbits have better survival odds? Well, the quick acting ones grab food first, but get killed easier by lurking predators. Being killed all around by predators, only cautious rabbits spot dangers. Carefulness is natural for the highly sensitive. They always prioritize safety first. So, in new environments or tasks, they adopt the observer rabbit strategy, avoiding rash actions, staying alert, examining details, anticipating problems, and preparing thoroughly. This approach drastically reduces errors and improves risk control. The third advantage, a richer inner world. With highly developed nervous systems, they not only perceive detailed information, but deeply process it. One detail sparks countless connections. So while most see falling leaves or withered flowers as ordinary, sensitive folks might ponder time's passage or life's transience. Hear this and you might think, isn't that just overthinking? What real value does it bring? Oh, don't underestimate this. It's the source of imagination and creativity. Highly sensitive people have an innate drive to express their overflowing thoughts. Harnessed right, this becomes priceless wealth. That's how sensitive artists transform scenes like falling leaves into profound art, giving us timeless masterpieces. Many artists, writers, and thinkers, like the famous Van Gogh and Picasso, have typical, highly sensitive personalities. The fourth prominent advantage of highly sensitive people is a strong sense of responsibility. The research has found that sensitive children are less likely to engage in selfish, deceptive, or rule breaking behaviors. Even when they know no one is watching, they still hold themselves highly accountable. Sensitive people take responsibility for themselves. Highly sensitive people also have a strong sense of responsibility towards their responsibilities. Whenever they sense a problem around them, they proactively take responsibility and find ways to improve it, even if it wasn't their fault. And the book mentions a girl named Hannah who, whenever she noticed her mom was unhappy, would always think about how to make her mom happier. Later, she came up with an idea to smile at everyone so that others would praise her mom for being capable and raising such a good daughter. And Hannah's mom would become happy because of this. Like sensible Hannah, sensitive people always want to take responsibility for everyone and everything. When a friend is in a bad mood, they feel they must do something. Similarly, if a colleague is scolded, they feel obligated to comfort and help. Therefore, in both work and life, highly sensitive people with a strong sense of responsibility are very reliable and trustworthy partners. All right, that's the content of the first part we've covered for you. Let's briefly summarize. Globally, 1 in every 5 people is a highly sensitive personality. These people have a developed nervous system and an extremely strong ability to receive and perceive information. In daily life, people often focus on the shy and vulnerable side of sensitive individuals, overlooking the advantages and talents that sensitivity brings. Their talents mainly manifest in being empathetic, having stronger crisis management skills, a richer inner world, and a stronger sense of responsibility than average people. These advantages are all pluses for sensitive people. However, we must admit that highly sensitive personalities do face many challenges in life. Next, let's talk about the second part. What challenges do highly sensitive people face and how to cope with them? Highly sensitive tribe? The first common challenge is an excessive pursuit of perfection. Pursuing perfection isn't inherently bad, but highly sensitive people pay too much attention to details, demanding extreme strictness or even harshness on all details, wanting to do everything perfectly. This high level of perfectionism can cause many problems, like keeping you constantly exhausted, anxious, and stressed out. Highly sensitive people often set high standards and strict demands on themselves. They're always tense, demanding that they give their all at all times, never make mistakes, and take care of everyone around them, and so on. Um, this consumes a lot of energy and effort, and even worse, this high standard can lead to extremes. So when things don't go well and don't meet expectations, sensitive people are very good at finding faults in themselves. They start blaming themselves, thinking it's all their fault, that they're not good enough, creating a vicious cycle. The more insecure they feel, the harsher they demand of themselves, making life more exhausting. And under exhaustion, things get even messier, further deepening the insecurity. So, how can we break out of this vicious cycle? Ilse Sand suggests lowering self expectations and being your true self. When we stop wasting energy on meeting overly high standards and dare to show our true selves, we enter a virtuous cycle, gaining a whole new life experience. Let's see what a virtuous cycle looks like. A working professional named Ryan feels his colleague is always talking loudly on the phone nearby, making him uncomfortable, but he's never dared to bring it up because he worries that if he says something, the colleague will be unhappy, ruining their relationship and making him seem hard to get along with. After struggling for a while, Ryan couldn't take it anymore and mustered the courage to tell his colleague, and the colleague's reaction surprised him. The colleague said, "Thanks for speaking up, Ryan, and I wish you'd told me sooner." After this experience, Ryan found that his relationship with this colleague became closer than before, and he was more relaxed and willing to show his true self around colleagues. And as a result, he had more energy to focus on what truly matters, rather than being bound and tormented by so-called standards like before. And instead of ending up exhausted and hiding in the bathroom, blaming yourself, this is the virtuous cycle. If you're used to setting high standards for yourself all the time, suddenly lowering them might be tough. For this, the author suggests starting small, like at a gathering, not constantly minding others' needs. You might act more relaxed and naturally, or occasionally allow yourself to make harmless little mistakes. You'll find people actually prefer the real, slightly imperfect you. That the real you, the second common challenge for highly sensitive people, is passive relationships. Sittives often lose arguments, they realizing afterward, I should have said that. Is it because they're slow? Not at all. It's because they're thoughtful and cautious in relationships, never wanting to hurt others. So during conflicts, they seem passive. This passiveness also shows in how they struggle to say no. Even with unreasonable requests, they habitually accept, sacrificing themselves to please others. For this, the author says, sensitives must learn to say no to boundary crossing behaviors rather than reluctantly agreeing while struggling inside. Say no to unnecessary socializing. Say no instead of forcing yourself to endless events, then needing ages to recover from overstimulation, and to things beyond your capacity. Say no rather than reluctantly agreeing and suffering the pressure of underdelivering. Only by saying no can you create space for your sensitive heart. Of course, saying no is genuinely tough for sensitives. They worry endlessly. Will my refusal hurt them? Will friends leave if I pull back? Actually, these worries are often unnecessary. Most times, expressing yourself resolves things naturally. Explain your reasons clearly, and others will respect your decision because you've respected them too. True friends won't leave. They value you, the sensitive, reliable person, not just what you do for them. Plus, the author says to take initiative in relationships, sensitives need verbal skills beyond saying no. The book outlines 4 deepening communication levels: small talk, shared interests, private sharing, and complete openness. Casual comments like nice weather or this tastes great are the shallowest level. Small talk. Some people really enjoy this casual chit chat, especially those who are outgoing and highly resilient. For them, this short talk mode is a way to relax and unwind. However, for highly sensitive people, prolonged small talk fills their brains with trivial and useless info, making them exhausted and even overwhelmed. In contrast, sensitive folks prefer and excel at deeper interactions, like discussing meaningful topics and sharing inner feelings. Sensitive individuals focused on their inner world often feel energized and spiritually nourished during such deep conversations. If sensitives can consciously switch communication levels based on their will, steering talks to their strengths, they'll be more proactive and adept socially. For example, lingering longer on topics during shallow talk can shift a simple food comment to discussing personal experiences and preferences, like actively sharing private stories or asking about inner thoughts to deepen the conversation. Um, Third common challenge for highly sensitive people is being easily swamped by negative emotions, probably the most life impacting one. As mentioned earlier, sensitives are highly aware of their own emotions and skilled at empathizing with others. Precisely why they're easily overstimulated by intense, complex feelings, leading to burdens of pain, stress, and anxiety. For instance, after comforting a friend, a sensitive person might still be stuck in gloom the next day, unable to move on, while the friend has recovered. Another example, after a minor conflict, a thick skinned person forgets quickly, but a sensitive one might dwell unhappily for days. In the book, the author advises sensitives to manage emotions by changing their perceptions. The author notes that the same event can spark different emotions depending on how you perceive it. For example, say you run into your boss while shopping, but they don't respond to your greeting and just walk off. At this point, your perception might be, did I offend him? Is he ignoring me on purpose? And he might target me at work later. Chances are you'd still feel anxious and restless at work the next day, unable to focus properly. But if you shift perspective, maybe the boss didn't notice me or had a reason not to respond. It wouldn't affect you at all. You just carry on as usual. So it's not emotions that shape perceptions, it's perceptions that shape emotions. This same idea appears in rational emotive behavior therapy, REBT, by renowned psychologist Albert Ellis. REBT teaches that negative emotions come not from events themselves, but from our irrational beliefs about them. When we replace irrational beliefs with rational ones, we free ourselves from negativity. So when sensitives get stuck in negativity, don't try to control or suppress emotions. Return to the event and rationally adjust your perception. All right, that wraps up the second part we've covered. Let's recap. Highly sensitive people face three main challenges. First, excessive perfectionism, always demanding high standards, which leads to anxiety and low self-esteem. The solution? Lower standards and show your true self. Second, passive relationships, sacrificing yourself to please others. For this, sensitives must learn to bravely say no and use communication skills to take initiative. The third challenge is being easily overwhelmed by negative emotions. The author states perceptions shape emotions. By adjusting perceptions, we overcome negativity. Okay, now let's explore the final part. How can highly sensitive personalities adjust mindset and lifestyle to live more harmoniously with the world? The author says sensitives spend so much energy processing external stimuli that they neglect their own needs. Their top priority should be self care. Sand suggests writing yourself a letter, imagining you're someone else, speaking to yourself calmly from an outside perspective, not habitually criticizing. The book tells the story of Susie, a highly sensitive girl who followed the author's advice to write herself a letter. In the letter, Susie wrote, "Dear Susie, I know you've always been very serious, trying your best to make everyone around you happy. I believe you've tried hard, and that's enough." Later, Susie cried while reading this letter. Through this letter, she finally realized that she deeply craved encouragement. Sand suggests that sensitive people keep the letter in their backpack and read it when they make mistakes or feel unhappy to slowly make peace with themselves. Through self dialogue, discover what you truly want. Another way for highly sensitive people to care for themselves is to allow themselves to occasionally do useless things. Highly sensitive brains receive too much information daily and need ample time to process it. Regular sleep doesn't fully solve this because the human brain only has enough energy to process information when the body is upright. And to give the brain the best chance to organize information, the author suggests sensitive people do useless things, activities without a clear purpose. For example, putting on headphones to listen to music, closing your eyes to rest, or washing dishes, tidying the room, taking a walk, etc. These things may seem inefficient and don't produce immediate significant value, but actually, during this time, the sensitive brain is still busily processing previously received information, unnoticed. The author says these useless things are the best way to decompress and recharge. By doing them occasionally and living at your own pace, even if slower, you can feel relaxed and joyful, better enjoying life. Beyond self care, highly sensitive people should realize they can leverage their talents to create more value. The author encourages highly sensitive people to rise higher, to feel more, and create more. For instance, using their sensitivity to fully appreciate the beauty of nature and art. There are many specific ways, like planting some flowers and plants, observing their gradual changes, lying in a hammock in the woods, listening to the pleasant sounds of birds and insects, or going alone to a concert, or with loved ones to a movie or art exhibition, etc. You can also express these feelings through various ways, like journaling, writing a poem, singing, sharing with friends, or creative activities that express your rich inner world, like flower arranging, painting, or sculpting. Through these activities, highly sensitive people discover their sensitivity isn't a burden, it's an enriched soul. Using their keen senses, highly sensitive folks can become joyful, fascinating people. All right, that covers how highly sensitive personalities adjust mindset and lifestyle. The author tells us highly sensitive people should practice self care, listen to their inner voice, and allow slower paced living. Do useless things occasionally to let your brain process information. Beyond self care, leverage your gifts to fully experience the world and create value. Okay, that's pretty much all for this book's content. It's worth noting everyone carries some degree of sensitivity within them. We study high sensitivity not to label ourselves, but to discover our sensitive parts, learn coexistence methods, address challenges, and better harmonize with ourselves and the world. Okay, that's our interpretation of the highly sensitive person. Keynotes are below the audio. See you tomorrow.